All right, guys, we are back. Another week of Formula One. This week in Singapore. Had a lot go on this week, but Sam, how are you feeling after a long night of racing yesterday, then getting up crack ass of dawn to see what's going on halfway across the world?
I'm Sam. And good.
All right, Jackson, how about you? How are you feeling after this mediocre race?
Yeah, very mediocre.
Yeah.
Just kind of mid and slow all around, but it is what it is. That's a bad part of Formula One, or just learn to deal with it. Sometimes there's slow weeks, but that's okay.
And then, of course, we've heard big news all week. And Isaac, unfortunately, couldn't make this week, so sorry for Isaac. But Danny Rick came by, and, we're going to talk with him here in a little about how he's feeling, seeing a lot of videos of you looking pretty emotional. Understandably very emotional after what could be his last F1 race. Don't mean to just drag freaking salt in the wound on you right here, but yeah, so we'll talk to him in a little bit about his race and his stellar last performance, I would say, in my opinion. Yeah, but he got fastest lap. Okay, anyways.
P17. P17.
We're going to run through kind of a quick wrap-up of the week and just some things that we saw during the week. The first thing that I heard, Lance has been knocked out in Q1 in 5 of his 6 appearances in Singapore. Does that surprise you guys?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
It's Lance.
Isaac.
No.
Lance likes to stroll in Singapore.
My brother gets in the car and just that's a stroll in the park. Just another day in the park.
Going for it.
He loves
cruise.
performing under the lights, you know?
Yeah.
I really hope.
Maybe he has performance anxiety.
I think Adrian Newey is going to make Alonso's car great, and he's not going to touch Lance Stroll's car.
He's just going to say, fuck
Well,
you,
Lance-
Stroll.
He'll leave him alone.
Lance Stroll's car isn't an actual F1 car, I'm convinced. It's like when you go to like IKEA and they have like the beds that are like not actual beds, but they're just like hollow mattresses. That's what his car is.
Y'all ever get lost?
And
on
his
IKEA?
brain.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all ever get lost on IKEA?
No, every time I go. Just like Lance on the track.
All right, so another thing that happened was in FP3, there was a lizard on the track. You know, Jackson cooked up a smooth little edit for that yesterday.
Yep, went out to about 17 people. Very gratifying.
Those 17 appreciated it.
I hope so.
Exactly. Like I said earlier, Danny Rick, this was likely his last race. We heard pretty early on in the week that Liam Lawson's going to take over now, starting in COTA in 3 weeks. For
I don't know
those
if
that
it's
are
set in stone, though.
Yeah, but
It's not official, but it's about as official as they can get.
yeah.
And I feel bad. I don't understand what the point is of kicking him out with 6 races to go, personally.
5.
6.
6.
No, 5.
6. We looked it up.
COTA, Brazil, one in between that, Mexico. COTA, Mexico, Brazil, Qatar. and
Vegas, Abu Dhabi.
Oh,
Yep.
Forgot Vegas.
huge mea culpa on my end. Also, for those listening and not watching, we do not have Danny Rick here. It's just Isaac in a cowboy hat. I know they look super similar.
Take that as a fat compliment.
But you're not Australian. You're from a different island.
Yes.
Yeah, this is true.
Different.
Cayman or Haiti? I can't remember.
He's the Sri Lankan Danny Rick.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so yeah, Liam Lawson most likely going to take over. This is also Lewis Hamilton's 350th start.
Yep.
He's won 105 of those, by the way. And this was Carlos's 200th start, and he's won 3 of those. So those, just to put into perspective, the driver swap there. I think one's probably more dominant, I could say.
Yeah, that's a bold statement.
I think Carlos is a little bit better, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so that's kind of all of our dumb ideas of what happened during the week. Let's go around the horn a little bit. Isaac, were you surprised at the race at all? What are your feelings besides large amounts of tiredness?
I think it was kind of, like Jackson said earlier, it's kind of just mid. Luckily, Lando finally had a good start and didn't get bogged down off of his launch. And then after that, nothing really stuck out. Like a couple guys swapped places here and there, but it was just like a typical. That was a great race for an intro to Formula One if anyone's never watched a race, because you have the time throughout the whole race to break down steps for somebody who's never watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's not a lot going on.
It's a good
No.
point.
So if
That's a
you're
good way
sitting
to
there
put
with
it.
somebody who had no idea what they're watching, you can be like, okay, this is why they're taking this corner into, and then explain what an apex is. There's plenty of time to explain it throughout the race because it's not like as aggressive, I would say, throughout the whole race.
Yeah.
Would you guys rank this track in your top 3 favorites purely off a track, or does it not sit in top 3?
I don't think it sits in my top 3. I like the fact that it's a night race, but it just doesn't do it for me. I don't think the racing's ever anything too crazy at Singapore. But
Sam?
I'm going to have to agree. I'll say it's in my top 5.
Okay.
And I say
Isaac?
that just because of what it can produce.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's my 3, if anything. It's on the edge of dropping into 4, but I think it just gives a lot more opportunity for high speed racing. So if the grid was tighter groups and there were chances for overtaking, it definitely has the ability for that because of how open it opportunes itself. But that's just my personal thing.
I mean, I'm not a big street circuit guy, so that's automatically kind of where I kind of net out on it. They're fine, but I just don't think it. And people are going to argue with me because people think it creates great racing, which sometimes it does. But I think other times you get into situations like this, and it's just kind of smooth and steady the whole way. But
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think?
I like it. I wouldn't say it's top 3 track for me, but I'm probably the opposite of I think there should be more street tracks and less circuits, but
Makes me wonder.
it's just me.
I got to ask, what do you think has been the best race of the season so far? I'm pretty sure none of us will agree that it was this one. But what has been your favorite race of the season so far?
Probably Miami for me.
Miami was pretty
Just
strong.
because it was like a real big like awakening of it was almost like we got woken up of like, oh shit, someone else besides Max like not only can win but like actually has some freaking pace, man.
Yeah.
And I was Lando's first win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously that's another reason too, but I think mainly it's
Miami
like
was good.
mainly for me it was like just because it was like you got shaken alive of like, okay, maybe this whole Red Bull dominance thing and the horn dog and all that is kind of starting to crumble.
Yeah, it's not
Canada
Canada
was
was out
good,
for
too.
years.
Canada was good.
Canada was very exciting with the rain and
Did you say that's your
everything.
favorite?
I wouldn't say. I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite, but Canada was a great race as well.
That was one of the best examples of a great Ferrari strategy.
Yep.
Throwing Charles Leclerc on some hard tires when it's pouring rain. 45 seconds behind, finishes like P17.
Oh, dude, it's just
If you
peak.
can't finish first,
Honestly,
you might as well finish last.
Yeah, honestly, it made me think Bonotto was back in the paddock, but
Felt like it.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go Monza.
I
Yeah.
love Monza.
I just love the high. I love the speed. I love the quickness of it. Everything about that track usually produces some decent racing.
The Italian
some
races
form or
are awesome.
are awesome. Yeah, Imola's solid as well.
Isaac?
I'd probably have to go with Miami because that was, like you said, like a big opportunity for the F1 world to be like, this isn't just the Max Verstappen show all the time.
Yeah.
And it's early in the season, so it's not like Max is coming out steamrolling and we get 5 races in, then Lando wins. It's like, hey, Lando's like, opens the door. Hey, I'm still here.
Yep.
And now he's been here the whole time,
And
sitting
I-
on the couch.
And
with
I don't
us.
even think we knew that early that fully meant what was going to happen this
Exactly.
year.
Totally.
So that's why
But
I
it's
say
exciting.
hindsight's-
It's exciting to look back and see, like, okay, that was kind of the premonition of like, hey, maybe McLaren can figure this shit out. And they
that's why I
did.
And that's
which
why I
has
say
been awesome.
hindsight's 2020 because now it's very easy to be like, oh, that was the best race.
Yeah.
Because, like, in the moment, the race itself, and like I just said, like I'm a fan of street tracks, but like even though it's not really, but I don't really love Miami. Like on paper, it should be dope.
Yeah, it should
Like
be.
going around the Hard Rock Stadium and all
Yeah,
that.
the wooden boats.
But it's like I don't know. It's just kind of I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. But the idea was there, and then of course, like I said, it literally changed this year.
yeah,
No, totally.
It's wild because I think we'll look back on this race and go, it was important that Lando won. But in all honesty, Singapore's probably up there for one of the most bland races of this season.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is funny
Yes.
because last year it was by far the most entertaining.
Yes.
Fucking
Yeah.
George.
But I don't know if we look back 2-3 years back, forget last year, but move back a few years. The racing on this track I feel like it drastically depends year to year. You're going to have a great race and then it's going to be slow. Then you're going to have a great race and you're going to be
I
slow.
feel like this is-
But that's kind of Formula 1 as it is, I
Yeah.
guess. It just depends.
I feel like this is one of those tracks, though, that makes it more prominent almost, where like this is a huge swing. It literally went from probably the best race last year to there's a good chance this could be the most boring bland race this year.
Yeah. Let's hope so, because if it gets a little more worse than this, we're going to be in for a rough final 6 weeks. But I think the tracks, the final 6 tracks aren't going to allow for that kind.
Dude, I'm so excited for Mexico, dude. That race always ends up being halfway decent.
Yeah.
There's
Mexico's
a lot of
great.
things in factor there. You've got elevation, you've got the wind, you've got literally the freaking Mexican grandstand there. Like
Dude, yeah, the
freaking
fans come
chicane's
out like
badass.
crazy in
Got
Mexico
Checo
City,
fighting
too.
to keep his seat, which I think he succeeded.
That might be like,
After his performance today?
No.
No.
Just after D-Rick had got
Yeah.
well, because like, I know this sounds so dumb too, but you honestly have to think of it this way now, because this is Formula One, is like, which races will produce crazy freaking Drive to Survive episodes? The Mexico one's going to be gnarly, because they're going to do a whole Checo episode, and it's going to like come to a head with like the Mexico race.
They're going to make it seem like this is like he has to perform well here to keep his spot.
It's almost
the
like-
Mexican Grand Prix.
It's almost like Leclerc and Monaco.
Yeah.
Like that's
The
But
pressure's
that'll be a big
on
one.
there.
yeah.
I think this one will be. They'll make one about D-Rick's last race in
Oh,
Singapore.
1000%,
It'll be a good season
Oh yeah.
for all those people that hate it.
Yeah.
Suck on that.
So Lando obviously won.
Do you want to run through? We kind of just got to Isaac basically. Do you want to run through the top 5, top 10?
All right, obviously Lando won today. He got Max came in second, Oscar in third, Georgie in fourth, Charles in fifth, Lewis in sixth, Carlos in seventh, Fernando in eighth, Hulkenberg in ninth, and Sergio coming in for the last
Points.
spot in 10th. And then obviously our guy, Danny Rick, in 18th.
But he did, important. I think it is kind of funny. Like, it's very important, though. Like, a point isn't a lot, but it is a lot right now. He got that fastest lap there at the end, and then Max is like, thanks, Daniel. So,
Yeah, it took it away from
kind of funny.
Lando.
It really was. I hate to say it, but it really was kind of a good goodbye
Yeah.
to D-Rick to have him get that fastest lap real quick. Just because when you think about it, it's like the last 2 seasons for him have just been. It's kind of he's just been getting destroyed. I'm sure his mental
Holy
state.
dude.
I'm sure his mental state in Formula One is just gone.
Yeah.
So it's probably pretty nice for him to go. Hey, at least I'm ending my career with the fastest. Like that goes on his career record. Like he ended with the fastest lap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the worst way to go out.
No, but I fastest lap, I think sometimes just feels almost like a sympathy point to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, he doesn't get anything because he wasn't top 10, but it's like a sympathy prize. And then he won driver of the day. Did he deserve driver of the day?
Hey, fastest lap.
I'm gonna say yes because I'm D-Rick.
Also, can we agree, though, that driver of the day is a bit of like a fluffer thing? Like, it's more for the fans.
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like
all
a
for-
participation.
It's like a hit and giggle. It's like playing a scramble.
I've
in
seen
golf.
Lando
like, it's
Norris.
not real.
I've seen Lando Norris bottle P1, get third, and still win driver of the day.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
what?
Yeah.
Dude, they literally, I saw stuff yesterday on Twitter that was like, no matter what happens, we're voting Daniel for driver of the day. I was like, all right. It just doesn't fit sometimes. It just doesn't do it. But
I wish Formula One pulled some like WWE stuff, and like instead of like Danny Rick walking out of the paddock to get in the car, you just saw like Liam Lawson just stroll out and hop in the car.
Oh jeez.
They don't tell anybody. It's just a random switch.
dude, I
I wish
wish
F1 did that.
they would do
Crazy.
that. But
But I mean, what was
be a
the,
little more electric.
what was the winning gap between Lando and Verstappen?
So Lando finished just about 21 seconds ahead of Max.
21 seconds ahead. It's very McLaren and Red Bull have kind of switched from last year.
Yeah.
Do you think that continues into next year?
The hard thing is I feel like it's so year to year. I mean, you saw Mercedes a few years ago racing peak racing with Red Bull, and then the next year they come in and it's just totally different. I feel like it's super hard to predict year to year. I'd like to think that McLaren builds on it and that they kind of run away with it next year very quickly, but I don't think any of us can make that claim, really.
No, but only reason I would even consider it being the same is because of how young their team is.
True.
That these guys have a long career ahead of them, so they're like, cool, we just had a great season. They're going to want to have that drive in them to be like, cool, during the off season, we're going to want to go drive and compete against each other as much as we can. If that's sim racing
Yeah.
or on the practice track, whatever, go put in laps on the car. So you guys are as dialed as you can be.
Yeah.
I think next year will be closer than it is this year, at least at the start, because McLaren's kind of getting some of those warnings from the FIA already. Like, for example, their rear wing. The FIA already asked them to change it after this race. So next race, they could be
Completely
Ferrari
different.
could be number one.
That's the thing. And obviously next year is totally different with Lewis racing Ferrari, but I don't know.
And then the
think
year after
everybody's-
that, reg changes.
I think
Yeah.
everybody's dream would be a McLaren-Ferrari matchup.
Yeah.
I think McLaren and dude, if you throw Red Bull and Mercedes into there and you have 4 teams, I think that's the best of everything, but it's just not realistic. Sadly, I don't think we have 4 teams that come out and perform week to week. This has been a great year, honestly, for competition wise. I mean, currently as we're sitting, you have McLaren is at 516. You got Red Bull at 475. So they are 41 points back. They can catch them technically for the constructors. Drivers is kind of a different story. It seems like Max is kind of pulled away. It's just going to be hard for
51 points?
Max is 331 and Lando's 279.
Is that 52?
52 points. So
Because that last lap got taken away.
Yep.
Last lap.
So I don't know. And then obviously you have Ferrari who's sitting at 441. So they are 38 points back from McLaren.
I will say I was pleasantly impressed with Red Bull today. Max Verstappen performed. I thought Max Verstappen was going to finish in that 6 through 10 range.
Yeah.
Interesting.
For
Shout
him
out
to
Red
keep
Bull.
that second spot was
Yeah.
good for him.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen a little more competition. Obviously, I think like everybody on that first turn, but props to Lando for actually holding it together and holding that one spot and
Yeah.
getting a good launch at the start because he struggled with that all kind of year.
Yeah.
So that was good to see.
Do we want to talk? Let's see, going down the list here. Charles not able to overtake Georgie. Was a bit surprised about that. Lewis, obviously, a fairly solid race for him. Carlos, really good race, in my opinion, after a really bad qualifying and dumping it in the wall there. Nico qualified, I believe, 6th, finished 9th. I don't really think we need to talk more about Checo, but yeah, Haas finished ahead of Checo this week.
Yeah.
It's kind of a rough look.
Just want to point that out. And then a lot of talk about our boy Pinto Bean, P11. Yuki had a really good race. Really kind of feel like he should have gotten something better than P12. Other than that, it's really just all the stinkers and Stroll and
How about Yuki?
Stinker.
How about Yuki complaining when they were talking about who was in front of him, and they were, I think it was George and Sergio.
I believe
Something
so.
like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whoever the 2 drivers right in front of Yuki in the middle of the race, they get on the radio, team radio, and tell him like, "Hey, these guys are fighting. There may be a chance for us to advance." He's like, "Too much information. Let me race." Yuki just
Well, and then talking about going over the radio, George Russell. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
Guys.
Hey, shout out George. I guess we all need some motivation. but
Yeah, George.
Usually people don't
Shove it.
demand it from the radio guy.
yeah, that was
Dude,
an odd one.
You're
Like-
a professional athlete. You're in the middle of the fucking race, and you go over the radio. Hey guys, I could use a little motivation here. Can someone pat my back?
I
He's
think
like,
it was.
The
Motivate me.
fuck?
Yeah.
His race engineer's like reading him a bedtime story.
Yeah.
I think it was-
Jesus Christ.
I like to think it was mostly just because, I mean, this is one of the toughest races physically for the guys. So
Yeah.
I'd assume he was just feeling like shit
Oh, I'm sure he
and needed it. Lewis and him did not go to media conferences afterwards.
Needed
So
some
Mercedes
electrolytes.
Mercedes released statements instead, allowed them both to skip. But I'd hope that was kind of the direction he was going with that. But either way, I'm just like, dude.
Jackson's only sticking up for him because he's a Mercedes.
No,
fan. I just
It's still,
wanna point
dude,
that
it's
out.
pathetic as hell.
Dude, like what the fuck?
It was pathetic as hell. How are you like, hey, I need some motivation, guys. Dude, there's a car behind you going 160 miles per hour. Are you going to freaking
Stop?
Are you going to let him pass you? No, I'm going to freaking keep driving.
Yeah.
George would be the kind of guy that if he got passed, he'd like, good job,
Yeah.
man.
Oh, great
Good
job,
good
guys.
job.
Great job.
Yeah.
I love it. Matthew and I always joke when George passes, he always gives the good old, come on. It's like,
Come on, George.
Come on, George.
It's like
A lot of third person talk from George. I honestly wouldn't surprise me if he hopped on the team radio and it's like, George needs some motivation, guys. Will you guys help?
Oh my god.
Will you help
George
George?
appreciates the love from the paddock.
Oh man, dude.
Like,
Guys, it's been 13 weeks since we've seen Max Verstappen stand on top of the podium. What do we think?
I've forgot the Dutch anthem.
Dutch anthem.
I forgot the Dutch anthem. I don't even know what it sounds like anymore.
I totally.
Or
I
how
saw
to
someone,
sing it.
Yeah, someone in the
apparently.
stands had a sign today said we miss the Dutch anthem.
Oh, yeah.
I
I was
promise
like,
you
sick.
that nobody misses the Dutch anthem.
Yeah.
No, not one person.
Except everyone
I was
that's
gonna say,
Dutch.
Yeah,
Max probably
and Max.
misses it.
Probably not.
Yeah, but
That's
sucks
true.
to be Max.
Yeah.
And
Sucks
you've
to
heard
suck.
it 23 out of whatever last, who knows what, 50 times in the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's just absurd.
What do we think is his best chance in the last 6 races to get a dub? Coda, Mexico, Brazil, Vegas, Qatar, Abu Dhabi.
Honestly, I would say Mexico.
Mexico, okay.
I'll go Vegas.
I was going to say Vegas as well, purely because last time they had trouble with those tires. Tires could not heat up.
Yeah.
Max's car still performed well then. I know it's a completely different car, but no other team has really raced extremely well except for Charles. He was the only one that raced well on that track last year. I think Max's best chance is one that he knows better than
A
everyone.
little bit
Yeah.
of confidence.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And if he can get those tires warm, then I think that'll make a difference. For
I
sure.
will say, not to go off on a tangent, which I'm not going to do, but like I was very surprised that it wasn't more of a factor last year in Vegas. So that's one of the.
Yeah.
I've got another thing that I'm keeping my eye on, or that we should be keeping our eye on, but that's one of them going into Vegas.
Manhole
in
covers
November.
being the other one.
Yeah,
Yes.
manhole covers and mainly just the tire temps, just because how late they race.
Well, yeah, and like people don't really think about how cold it gets in desert climates.
Well, not only
Like
that,
at night.
Yeah, but not only that, but 70 degrees at night on
Yeah.
on road is completely different than 70 degrees during the day.
Yeah, when the
That's a
sun's
huge
out.
Yeah, you don't have the
difference.
sun. The tires
Leave-
take longer to heat
Leave it to
up.
the FIA to go. We didn't take into account what the weather would be like when we planned the race.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh,
Oh, you
what
didn't.
are you
What a
doing?
concept.
You guys didn't realize the sun would be gone
Or
at
to
midnight?
think, or to think, hey, maybe let's do a walkthrough on the track to make sure everything's in perfect shape before the drivers get out here and almost kill themselves going over a manhole cover.
Yeah.
Story for another time. I'm sure we'll talk about that a ton Vegas week.
yes.
But
I'd agree that Vegas is probably his best bet.
Interesting.
I think there, or he's going to get a very insignificant win at Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
dude, Abu Dhabi, yeah. And if he wins at Abu Dhabi, chances are
It's over.
it's probably going to be over at that point. He'll have had drivers. Constructors maybe will be sealed as well.
But not by them.
Not by them.
No.
Yeah, by McLaren.
Like,
But we
man,
never know. Maybe
Yeah.
we go into Abu Dhabi. We could go racing. After all, it's a car race, Mikey. It's a car race.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm keeping my eye on,
Freaking toad. Freaking Michael Mousy.
the Pirellis. We need to keep an eye on the tires. George has been in everyone's ear saying that there's no consistency. So that's something that we'll be monitoring.
Yeah.
You guys have any idea what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Not a
Okay.
No, yeah, he's been complaining about tires.
He's
how they're
been
just
he's been
inconsistent
basically
race
just
to
saying
race.
that, like, race to race, like even if it's the same compound, that there's just zero consistency in them. Some will
This-
grain different.
This is going to sound really weird to say, but you see it happen in a lot of sports sometimes. Like, they will do whatever they can. Like, for example, the Chiefs, they won't call holding calls. They won't call pass interferences.
Oh yeah,
That's what
really, Sam?
influenced
Is
the
that a
game.
drive-by on someone here?
No, that was
But in
straight
the-
up
Just
walking and
all I
shoot
got.
you.
All I got is that we've won 2 Super Bowls in the last 2 years, and we're gonna go for 3. We beat the Falcons tonight. And we're gonna win 3.
Congratulations.
It's fine. We're gonna 3-peat.
anyway.
I love how he
Back to
says
what I
we,
said.
like he's down there on
Back
the
to what I was
sidelines.
I'm saying it's one of those sports where it could actually F1 could influence the sport in a way that benefits a certain team.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're doing it.
But
Hopefully
it
they're
could
not.
happen.
But for all we know, I'm just going to throw out an example. They could be giving McLaren better tires. And I'm not trying to sound biased. I'm not starting a rumor. I don't know anybody in F1.
Besides us.
Yeah. But it's one of the sports that they could easily influence the way a race could turn out purely by changing tires.
Is F1 the easiest race? Is F1 the easiest sport to fix?
I'm going to say no because it still relies on the driver not to send it into a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, like no matter how much
There's
money
no-
you throw at Lance
yeah.
Stroll, he's not winning.
Well, no, not even that. But like, I mean, you could flag people for going over sausage curbs, shit like that. But it doesn't seem as extreme as it is for like football and things like that.
Yeah.
You see it a lot in like soccer where the refs will bet on matches. Not a lot, but it's happened a handful of times in history. I'm sure it'll happen one day. We're going to see someone at the FIA was betting, and they're going to lose their spot. I'm sure it will happen. It happens in almost every sport.
Yeah.
At some point, there's a big scandal.
That's what makes you wonder is, will it maybe ever come out one day, maybe in the future, maybe it's 5 years from now, that Pirelli was influencing the sport via FIA's rules? Like, they're like, we want you to do this. I could see it happening. I genuinely could see it happening. F1's had quite a bit of controversy in the last 25 years.
They've always had.
Well, and the FIA, let's be honest, is very shady and kind of a bunch of jackasses to begin with. It's weird for a sport to be run by a governing body that's completely independent.
Yeah.
Because FIA governs a shit ton of other racing leagues as well.
But hypothetically, wouldn't you think that would be better?
I don't know. I would like to think that it would be better, but then we've had instances like, I always go back to Abu Dhabi, but like that should have never happened.
Yeah,
they literally broke the rules.
I know it's
and went a different way.
I know it's a very good example, but removing that example, objectively, it should work.
It should work objectively.
Because you're able to separate out the politics and the drama of Formula One. Think about it. Formula One versus NASCAR. No, let me do this. Formula One versus IndyCar. Completely different, like, people in that world, completely different, like, emotions and drama and all the bullshit with it. FIA goes in there to both of them, and they're able to separate all that out and just lay down the law type thing. Objectively, I think it should work.
Yes.
But I do agree with you guys that it's never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
I will say the way it's set up is built for success. It's getting the right person to be running everything is pretty much impossible to find.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. If somebody walked up to you on the side of the street and said, I'll give you $1 million, all you got to do is, help me win a little race here and there. How many people in the world would probably say yes? A lot.
I know 4.
You would like to think that there's 4 people in this room.
And everybody likes to have, like, control.
Yeah.
So the person at the top will always try to maintain control, which will be influencing the sport.
True.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, the FIA pisses a lot of people off. F1's full of a lot of pissed off people right now, especially in the Lando Norris hate camp.
Oh, dude.
So on that note, we want to jump into some tweets.
Yeah.
Read some pissed off people. Tweets of the week. We'll start off on the freshest news of the week. Daniel Ricciardo, obviously potentially leaving F1 at the end of this week, even heading. I don't know. Maybe they'll keep him around for the next 3 weeks and then say goodbye. That'd be kind of mean, but we'll see how that goes. So we got our guy, Paul, THFC Paul, responding to the F1 account, giving Daniel Ricciardo driver of the day. He responds, he goes, I hate you. Red Bull gave you everything, and you left for Renault. They built a team around you, literally, and you left again. Came to us and made me hate F1 because I knew I had to cheer for you every week. And now, in your last race, you take the point from Lando. Pathetic loser. Obviously, we can tell he's a McLaren fan.
Yeah, I don't.
Either that or Lewis fan.
I don't know. His brother's on one, though. That's all.
Why does he hate Daniel? What has Daniel Ricciardo done to you in your whole life that makes you go, I hate this guy?
Yeah.
I would argue, too, that he's like the most likable person on the grid.
Exactly.
Hence
like
why I'm rocking the cowboy hat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's a likable dude. I don't know what our boy Paul is on. But
Shove it, Paul.
yeah, Paul needs to shove it and calm down and breathe. Just take a breather, Paul. It's Sunday. Take a breath. It's okay.
The only thing I would agree with him on is that it was a terrible idea to leave Red Bull, but I've already documented that on this podcast.
Yeah, there was no reason to go to. I don't know. Our guy.
There was a reason to go to Renault, though.
Our guy got his tattoo. If there was enough reason for
Cyril to get a
for
tattoo.
Cyril to get a tattoo, maybe that was why he went.
Yeah, right. It was some money.
Just such a bad move. But
Yeah.
His career would have been so much different.
Yeah.
if he'd stayed,
Yeah.
He'd still probably be racing at Red Bull right now.
I think
Yeah.
I would literally toss that out there right now.
Yeah.
I
You
can
don't
see
think-
him and Max.
you don't think it would have boiled over eventually, where they're angry at each other?
Oh, of course.
I'm sure, but I think that eventually one of them would have taken the backseat.
I mean, that was part of the reason he left,
Interesting.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was so much beefing in that team. And imagine, honestly, props to Daniel for, I don't want to say leaving when he did, but if he could have left maybe before last year at Red Bull when you got all the horn dog files and all that
Yeah.
bullshit, Daniel doesn't need to
Get
be
out
near
before
that.
Horner got in. You know what I
Get out
mean?
before Horner got in.
Whoa.
What's it going?
Whoa.
Do we know if he ever got in with the girl or?
I think he did multiple times, and I think that was why his wife was very upset with the situation.
Apologies to the Spice Girls, man. Jeez.
Sorry to the Spice Girls. Shout out to them. All right, next tweet. His @ is BCN Jeff.
Okay.
Nice.
Hello, Jeff.
Hello,
Oh.
Jeff. We're speaking to you now.
My name's
All right.
Jeff.
Daniel Ricciardo has finally done something noteworthy in his long and pathetic career, a highlight in an otherwise embarrassing journey. I still hate you, but thank you for pulling off this extremely funny move.
Hey, BCNF Jeff. Where the fuck are you at on the grid? Shove it, big guy. Shove it.
Also, Red Bull fan.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes. That
Dude.
would be my guess.
Big RB guy.
But honestly, I think it was a bold move for him to go for fastest lap. I like it. It was the smart play.
Oh,
It was a
totally.
very team play,
I was
which is
gonna
who
say,
Daniel Ricciardo is.
I don't
He's
know
a
if
team
it was
player.
his call, but
Yeah.
I'm going to say this right now. I think it's absolutely insane that Red Bull could just make a call across the hall and go, tell him to pit, get a fastest lap, take points from Lando. It's practically 4 cars.
Yeah.
And it's a little collusion going on
Oh
there.
my gosh!
Oh,
yeah.
100%.
Dude, you're telling me Red Bull couldn't make a call across the street and go, I need you guys to clip Lando on lap 14 right now? I just coming up trying to
or
pass
like
you.
just crash. Like
And I
That's
mean,
what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like, yeah. Like, there's collusion there. I don't care what anybody says. They
Well, they're
shouldn't-
a
it's sister-
team. They're a sister team, so I think
Yeah.
that's the argument people have.
Yeah, but that shouldn't exist.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We're saying
I would agree. I don't think that Williams and I don't think that RB should exist. I think that those teams, they shouldn't be connected as they are. I understand the whole driver academy thing, and maybe they'll start at Williams like George did and then work your way to Mercedes. But I think it just creates a conflict of interest within the same sport.
Yeah.
I do agree, but James Vowles has come out and said, I'm no longer helping
committed.
Mercedes.
Yeah.
That's fine then.
Which
That's
they
a
do
totally
that.
different story.
You
That's
separate,
perfect.
That's good. But the problem is that Red Bull owns both teams.
Yeah, RB is too close knit.
I was gonna say I agree with you. Like Williams is kind of the same, but it's not even close at the same time. The only thing that I'm curious about, you say, okay, no more Red Bull sister teams. You got one team.
Yeah.
Pick and choose which one you want. Is anyone going to come in and fill up a 10th team?
Andretti.
There's been a
Andretti.
ton of people that have been waiting.
Which-
Andretti's been
that's-
waiting
that's-
for 5 years,
But
10 years.
But here's the thing. Would you rather have Andretti Racing, fresh team, like essentially Haas 2.0, fresh team, like essentially no experience in F1, and so then would you rather have RB how it is, where they're semi-competitive, bear with me, but semi-competitive, or you bring in a fresh new team that is just like automatic 10th place? It's essentially a filler
I'd
team.
rather have a fresh team.
I think.
RB doesn't even have their own name. They're freaking Red Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
I think the best case scenario,
Just throw
I
visa
highly
on
doubt
it.
contracts wise and all this stuff, it couldn't happen, but would be for Andretti to take over RB, keep everybody.
Oh,
Just have like a transfer of everybody, go over there.
And just kinda sever the tie.
Yeah.
Sever the tie and go, you no longer work for them. It would fix everything and it would stop collusion. And I'm not trying to be biased because I'm a McLaren fan, but I think it's BS. I think it's BS that you can call a team across the hall to
No, I agree.
try to go for a fastest lap.
No, I totally agree.
What would we name the McLaren sister team?
Probably just the papayas.
The papayas.
The papaya racing team.
We'll call them the dragon fruits.
Yeah, the
Do you think
sun-kissed
the
racing team.
Dude, the livery
Kiwis.
of a dragon fruit car would
That'd be
be
gnarly.
tough.
Yeah.
That would be good. Kiwis, I don't know.
Kiwis. The Kiwis.
All right, next tweet.
Next tweet.
So long, Jeff.
Goodbye, Jeff.
Adios, pendejo.
Next one we got from Kaja Set
Just do the at.
Sumshur. That's his @ This is this brother's @
Okay.
Here we go.
He's from another part of the world. We can't dog on him.
I got nothing for him. Yeah. You either die a Mexican minister of defense or live long enough to see yourself become a Latino Lance Stroll. I have zero clue what he is saying. Not a clue in the world,
That's-
but it's a
that's-
fire tweet.
That might
I
be
got
the
nothing
tweet
for
of
it.
the year.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, props to Swami. That is his name.
I hope
Swami
we threw him a
Conjunada.
Did we throw him a retweet?
No.
Or what are they called now?
He has
Repost?
0 likes, zero retweets, 24 views on this tweet.
We got to give him some love.
No, he don't.
Dude, that's a funny tweet.
It's funny, but
It's a good tweet.
For those who have no idea what Mexican Minister of Defense came from, I believe, in my opinion, I believe I first heard it after 2021 Abu Dhabi when he fought off the big bad Lewis.
Yep. He's the Minister of Defense, dude. Great driver.
he
I don't know
never.
what will happen to him now, but
Yeah, and, I mean, let's be honest. Max never would have won that championship if he didn't have Surge.
Real.
Never would have won that championship.
Real.
the way Red Bull treats him now.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
They're kicking him in
dirty.
Telcel to the curb.
Just
Sergio,
dirty.
you should go to RB instead. They'll treat you better.
Yeah. Oh wait, they're related.
Oh yeah.
Oh shoot.
Same
All right.
fucking shit.
Speaking of related, move on to the next one. This one is from our guy forever_truth1. It is a picture. It's a interview with Daniel Ricciardo, and he's crying, and some girl named Bella responds and goes, "He cried. I am violently sobbing." And then the Forever Truth 01 quote tweets it, and he goes, "I wish this aardvark face gimp retires already. Laughing at being washed and overrated. Dude is a glorified Lance Stroll."
Wow. I
Just
love-
just
Never
brutal.
compare those two ever
How
again.
come
Yeah.
every tweet about somebody being a terrible driver automatically equates to Lance
Lance
Stroll?
Stroll.
Always.
I
I don't
The
know.
whole world agrees.
Common denominator.
I just think I just don't.
I don't know much about math, but
And we've talked about this 4 weeks, literally since the start of the pod. We're on episode 14 now, 13,
allegedly.
somewhere in that range. And every week we talk about how Lance Stroll's a hell of a driver, but there's a lot of other people that we think deserve
He's
to be
not
in
even
that
a hell of a
seat.
driver.
He's a hell of a driver to be where he is.
No, he's not.
Okay.
Me and Sam are currently, we've staked our freaking
I'll die on that
flag. Yeah.
I mean,
top of
I'm
the
with you.
steepest
I'm very
hill.
close to that hill as well, but I just think that
Dude.
Jackson's at
Are
the
you
base
gonna-
camp, though.
Are you gonna really?
yeah,
tell
I'm
me,
Everest Base Camp. Matthew and Sam are at like Camp 1, like
Are
higher
you guys
up,
really
yeah.
gonna tell me Frank Pinto being over there shouldn't be in that Aston Martin? Instead of
Dude,
Lance
Franco's
Stroll?
balling.
And he doesn't have a seat next year.
See,
Our boy Frank,
Yeah.
Frank the Tank, Frank Beef Hot Dogs does not have a seat next year.
yeah, looking, I'll be Frank's.
Yeah.
I'll be Frank and Beans. We need a seat for
Okay,
him.
Yeah.
here's a wild idea. Hear me out. For COTA, they should do a limited edition dog for the race. They call it the Colo Pinto dog.
Oh, sick.
Right?
Tough.
And it's like it's a beef hot dog with pinto beans and barbecue, Texas barbecue over the top.
Oof.
Like the Wiener Mobile or whatever.
And the only thing I'm trying to
Wiener Schnitzel
the only thing I'm
Mobile.
trying to
Yeah.
figure out is what kind of bun should we go with?
I think you got to go with that same like Sonoran hot dog.
No,
bun.
no,
That's
no,
a
no.
little
Hear me
toasty.
out.
I think you go
little
with like
sweetness to
I
it.
think you go with like some big buns.
Like a big brioche.
That's just too fancy. At
Just
this
some
point.
big old buns.
Just big old buns. Sam's favorite thing, big old buns.
Maybe we'll roll up. We'll rent out a little cart.
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be tight.
That'd
We'll
be
put a
that would
little
be
Everyone
bun
tight.
come
on
get
it.
your Colo Pinto dogs.
That would be
That'd be
tight.
tough.
Dude, if Franco's hearing
We'd
this,
sell out so fast.
he wants to hop on a FaceTime. We could show him the recipe.
Yeah, Franco, we will make this happen for you.
Franco might be the new friend of the pod.
I like Franco. Don't know
love
the
Franco.
guy.
Dude, we can paint
Great
the
lettuce.
expedition and go drive
Great
it down there.
lettuce, too. Great lettuce on Franco. All right, next
Yeah.
tweet, or is
Franco's
that
the man. Last one we got. Daniel Ricciardo's career summed up in one tweet. 257 starts, 32 podiums, 17 fastest laps, and 8 wins. Pretty solid, man.
it? The only thing
Yeah.
that's wild to think, though, is like a bulk of that came within like the first 25% of his career,
Yeah.
He
which
thought
is tough.
I thought he was going to be a world champion.
Yeah.
I think he should have been a world.
I think he
I think
should
if he
have had-
stays at Red Bull, it's more competitive, and there's a chance he wins a world title
Agreed.
there.
I don't know about drivers, but I definitely think he has a constructor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
8 wins on a career like his just seems,
Underwhelming.
yeah.
That should
Very
have been double
underwhelming.
digits.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
Lando Norris this year has won 3 times, right?
yes.
There's a good chance he might win 4 of the last 6 races. He could have 7 wins in one season.
But dude, there's also
one away from D-Rick.
There's also a chance then they go into next year, and with the new regs, McLaren just shits the bed, and that dude never gets another win. I think that's the scary part of the nature of Formula One is like
Yeah.
the cars.
The only thing that I will say is those teams at the top, you will never see. Ferrari is always going to be able to compete for wins in some form. Same with Red Bull. Same with Mercedes. They're always going to be up there. McLaren had a few years where they were just too bad. But those 3 top teams, every year since like 2007,
We'll always kind of be in
well,
contention.
2008-ish,
Yeah.
have been able to compete in some facet or another for wins, and he chose to leave that.
Yeah.
I think
It's odd.
It's a tough look.
It was just the total abandonment thinking Renault was going to be this star-studded team. It didn't pan out.
But again, that's where it goes back to like we can like try and quantify it all the way we want, but like it just came down to money.
no, that's the thing. I mean, I do the same
Like
thing.
you can try and sit in front of the press and be like, well, you know, I just really thought I had a better opportunity here. It looks like they're building great culture. It's like, no, dude, like you got a paycheck.
You got a
I'm the
fat
same,
paycheck.
dude. I'm all about them Benjamins too. I would have left.
Yeah.
It's Benjamins.
If you slide me enough money, like I would go do that.
And I'm not trying to tell, like, I don't want it to come across like I'm telling you what to do or what to think, Rick, but like he almost can't hate himself for the decision because he made I'm assuming he made the decision based on money, right? So like,
Yeah,
you're
I
really
don't
not
blame him.
like, are you allowed to regret it if it's like, are you allowed to regret,
Yeah.
oh, I wish it went better? Well, it's like, well, it went as good as you thought it was. You got a paycheck.
Yeah.
And
And
fat fucking
yeah.
paycheck.
And let's be honest, that paycheck set him up for his life.
Oh,
yeah. Oh yeah.
He's in a great spot, that Renault deal, and I mean,
The only thing too I want to add to this before we wrap it is like we also cannot forget how far ahead Mercedes was when he was at Red Bull.
Yeah.
Very true.
Very, very different than it is now.
yes.
Do you think it was worth it for Daniel Ricciardo to sacrifice the 6-7 more wins he probably would have gotten in his career for where he ended up today?
Well, that's a great point. What in your mind? Let's say he doesn't even win. Let's say he just wins a constructors, like I said, because I think if him and Max stayed together longer, I think Red Bull wins their first title
I would agree.
sooner, or not first title, but first title back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would agree.
I just think, yeah, I mean, like, to you guys, like, Isaac, does it really change your opinion on him if he has 6 more wins and a constructors?
No. D-Rick, to me, D-Rick is D-Rick. He's
Like, what's the difference between, how many does he have? 8 wins?
got 8 wins.
What's the difference between 8 and 28?
to me, to somebody that's not in that circle,
Thank you.
Where it
Like I
doesn't-
said, I can't do math, so.
to somebody where it doesn't impact my life. Like, if D-Rick wins 8 races, cool, great for D-Rick. If he wins 28, cool. Same, like Lewis. Lewis wins 10, or he wins 105.
That's a big
End of the
difference.
day, to me, it doesn't impact me in any way other than, cool, congratulations, Lewis. Like, that great career. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm just getting at that's a
D-Rick
bigger
had
difference.
D-Rick had a great career.
Yeah.
Even if his wins at the end of the day were a little underwhelming.
Yeah.
He had a
Oh, I agree.
fantastic.
And that's what I was trying to say is, like, if Lewis had 5, but they were still all great wins and great racing, and Lewis still competed, I'd still look at Lewis and be like, that's a great fucking driver.
Yeah.
Same way I look at D-Rick.
I will say this. I'll give him some credit. There's not a ton of drivers out there that have won with multiple teams. So you have to shout out stuff like that.
That's a good point.
But you also have to look at it and go, all these guys a lot of them think about legacy. Like, what's their legacy on the sport? D-Rick's still going to go down as one of the greatest drivers of probably the 2010s and 2020s.
The generation.
Yeah, of this generation.
Yeah.
And the most loved.
Yeah.
One of the most beloved drivers by far.
But I just wonder if he looks back on it and goes, those 8 wins could have changed his legacy. He could have had a constructors. He could have had
Yeah.
something. And a lot of those guys really do care about legacy. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
it's a lot like other big sports, right? It's not about how many like NFC championships you win. It's about how many times you win a Super Bowl
Yeah.
or stuff like that. So
exactly.
I get you. It's all about the big one.
Yeah. I think if we have to send a message from the 4 of us to Daniel, the dude had a hell of a career.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair for him if he has any thoughts ever, which I hope he doesn't, of thinking about, hey, I only had 8 wins.
Can he really be upset at himself
can't
for
be
being
upset with it.
himself?
No. He's one of the most fun electric drivers on the grid.
He's up front.
He's an awesome dude.
I'm sure
And
he'll
I-
still be involved in the sport.
I would like to think he'd maybe go into announcing. That'd be great.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Does he feel Nick Kyrgios adjacent to you?
I would say he's a PC version of Nick Kyrgios. I love Nick Kyrgios, and I think Nick Kyrgios is
Both
great for
Aussies.
the sport of tennis. And but he seemed Nick Kyrgios was a little more aggressive in your face, and Daniel's a little more laid back, I would say. But he's that personality that people gravitate towards and love. So like the two of them are very similar in that standpoint. Both Aussies, like you said, great dudes. Those guys would do anything for anybody. But
The only reason I make that comp is just because we go on kind of like had a great career, great human being, but slightly underwhelming.
I wouldn't even say it's under. Yeah,
Or
I mean,
underperforming.
underperforming. I hope to God Nick
Didn't get
still
as
get
much,
some.
didn't
Still
get
get
as
some
much
grand
out of their
slams,
career
but
as they should have.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think Daniel Rick has to look back on his career and say, I did pretty freaking good from where I was at.
Yeah.
Like, you can't complain about the career he
And if
had.
you sit back and you look at the whole grid and D-Rick's like, cool, I didn't have as many wins as Max or whatever. But at least I had more wins than Lance fucking Stroll. So,
amen to that.
Amen to that.
Dude,
Shove
that's
it,
a
Stroll.
great way to go out for
That's a
Danny
great way
Rick.
to end it.
I want to say this. With Lando having 6 races left, down 52 points, he needs to get 8.6 points per race, which would mean that he'd need Max to finish well behind him in a few races to have a chance. Does it happen?
I'm betting on
When
it.
you put it that way,
I'm betting on it. So,
I don't know. I don't think Max falls apart like that.
I think Max puts together a good string of performances the next 2 or 3 races.
Max needs a
He
win.
cleans it up.
He needs a win.
I think ego-wise, he needs to win
He
big.
needs a win.
I actually will be very, very surprised if we leave Abu Dhabi and he didn't win one of the last 6.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
hey,
We'll see.
again, it's already been 13 weeks, so what's another 8 or however many weeks we have left?
True.
Yeah.
Mentally, that's a long time.
All right, let's just wrap it there.
Yeah.
It's been a very tiring race for the drivers, for us as the F1 consumers.
Spectators.
We've got 3 weeks off. We'll be back in Austin. We've got some fun ideas for Austin and
go.
Coda. We'll finally have a race that isn't at 3 a.m., so that'll be cool.
For us,
That'll be
for
really
sure.
cool. Maybe what we should do is fly to Singapore for that race, and then we could just get up at 3 a.m. and watch it.
That would be
that's a
perfect.
great
that,
idea.
that would be more our
Why
speed.
change our schedule?
Yeah.
That would be more our speed. Yeah, there's no reason for us to just all of a sudden in the middle of the day sit down and watch
Yeah,
an
F1 needs
race.
to start catering to us, man.
Yeah, cater to the American consumers some more.
It's bullshit.
We need more. Eventually, you should just have all 24 races here.
In the United States?
Fuck yeah. I'm
No,
down.
50. Fuck it.
Yeah,
Race in
every
each
state.
State, and they just travel up and down through the whole
Oh, that,
country.
I'm sure the race in Tulsa, Oklahoma would be very electric.
Oh, dude.
That
you know how
one-
many NASCAR people would be there? Just
No.
shit-faced.
No. Hear me out. New Hampshire.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy vibes in New
I
Hampshire.
will say this. I do think they should skip out on Kansas because it's Kansas.
That's fine. I'm a Missouri guy, so yeah, skip
I
out
am
on Kansas.
Missouri.
Good job, Sam. Way to
Try. Really,
butcher that one.
really botched that shot.
Yeah, fucking
Go
A.
Chiefs.
All right, guys, everyone, have a great week, and
Yeah.
we will see you in the next pod, hopefully before Coda. If not, we'll see you in Austin.
We got
Yeah.
some surprises for y'all next week. Maybe.
Later.
Later.
Coming from the bottom, now stepping on the neck. I've been working, I've been grinding. I need all of my respect. Get it